Hi everyone. I'm grateful that you came back to part 2 of our video about incest. If you are new to this channel, my name is Phoenix, and this is the House of Phoenix, from trauma to spirituality. Join our community by subscribing to this channel and check out the introduction to the House of Phoenix video, where there you can learn more of what we are all about. And if you missed it, check out part 1 of our video about incest. Now, as I mentioned in part 1, this is a very serious subject matter. So please assess your ability to handle the emotions and the stress that this topic of discussion could bring. If we want, I want your likes and comments, just not at the expense of your heart breaking or your mental stability or the mental stability of someone else because you lashed out due to uncontrolled emotions. So help us build a supportive community by taking care of yourself first. Thank you. Childhood or sibling incest. This happens the most. It is the more frequent within the other two forms mentioned in part 1, but rarely reported. And I believe this is due to the inability to express it verbally for a child, and because of gaslighting, which we will go into later. Now, childhood sibling incest. It is definitely child-on-child sexual abuse, especially when there is no consent or when there is a really strong family dynamic with no equality. And when I say family dynamics, okay, it means what position do you have, or what power or weakness of importance do you hold? Where do you stand? Where do you fit in on the chain of command? And if you were low on the totem pole, and with sibling incest, childhood sibling incest, well then coercion will then become your worst enemy. Because when a child is coerced into sex or sexual behavior, it is so hard. It is way too hard for them to process. And they can't work it out in their minds enough in order to express it verbally and break from the silence that it causes. They can't break from the silence that it causes. Let the records show. There have been studies that taught us that most of the childhood victims of incest becomes adults with very disturbed and distorted beliefs that it's normal. It's a natural occurrence. This is how it is supposed to be with the subject of sexual abuse as a whole. And they grow up thinking it's normal. And you guys, I know I keep saying of how the importance of family dynamics plays a role in incest, because it does, okay, like big time. But so does proper family bonds. And if these needs are met, but introduced sexually and too early, and as a result of incest, it causes seriously damaging effects of sexual promiscuity that can have the victim trapped in vicious negative cycles throughout their entire life, and literally damaging the person's spirit body.
70% of women who were institutionalized for sexual crimes or immortality were victims of incest.
Now, this is like being imprisoned twice, which is incredibly taxing on one's spirit and soul. And like I said in part 2 of the introduction of the House of Phoenix video, those children, those ones that are victims of incest and try to speak up and were successfully silenced, those are the ones who became unwanted. Those are the ones that society calls criminals. So, with the immensely overwhelming feelings of fear, confusion, and powerlessness, and the devastating isolation of being trapped within oneself, with incest being such a taboo and swept up under the rug. Well, the victim of child-on-child incest, the coercion part, is usually introduced while the children are in play mode. So it's kept with a play feel and a light frame of mind, as if it is normal play, yet with an unspoken in a kind of energetically forceful way. Remember the word compelled? So even if this sort of playing didn't feel right, and the victim said no, the child initiating it, you know what? Let's just put this all out here on the table, because maybe, just maybe they are not initiating it. Maybe they're just repeating what was done to them because they are children and they wanted to see what it felt like being on the other side of it. Especially since it doesn't feel good, and it may seem like it feels good to the other person. Regardless, okay, because this is not providing any excuse, simply one reason, as looked at from the sciences of psychology. So regardless, without fully understanding what is going on, okay, without being able to process it, not being able to properly set boundaries and say no effectively, it's just not in the realm of experience for a child. Nor should it be a lesson learned by using sex or sexual behavior as a tool to teach it. Setting boundaries, that is. So, in this stage of life, no. The word no. This word is supposed to give you power, not in the instances of any form of incest, because that power gets taken away. And it's worse if the victim serves a low position in the family dynamics. And I can't stress it enough. And oftentimes, without the maturity to vocalize it, to verbally express what happened, well, when a child makes a failed attempt to cry out for help, it's dismissed. And sometimes the child may even receive a punishment, like a spanking, or have the toy that would provide them comfort taken away, causing further powerlessness. And this also programs the brain and the mind, right? It creates a set programming. And when I use the word set, I'm saying it's hardwired. And it's a programming of pure sexual dysfunction that can serve as a backdrop to most, if not all, the tragedies that became and can befall the victim later in their life. Because of the gaslighting and silencing that takes place, it is no surprise that some victims may even feel compelled. Okay, let me just stop right there, because compelled, okay? Because I want you to fully understand the meaning of the word compelled and how its definition fits here with incest. So let's take a look at it, shall we? Okay. So, force or oblige someone to do someone. Force, okay. I didn't make this up, okay, you guys. You can look it up yourself on Google. But back to the definition. Bring about something by the use of force or pressure. Okay, so here we go again. Force, the word force and pressure. And it gives us a sentence here. They may compel a witness's attendance at court by issue of a summons. So as you can see where that fits in there, compelled. Now, common synonyms of the word compel are coerce, constrain and force, and oblige. Coerce. To coerce someone into sex is rape. So like I said, it is no surprise that some victims of incest may even feel compelled to engage in sexual behaviors of promiscuity just to keep abuse out of the conscious awareness. You have to understand, incest is a traumatic sexual abuse that causes tremendous confusion and overstimulation especially for a child to process normally and normally constructed as part of adulthood. Often the victims in turn become the perpetrator. Now, lifelong mental illness will develop, such as anorexia nervosa, because it's hard. It's hard to be able to adjust to your body after being touched like that at such a young age. Self-harm, PTSD, depression, personality disorders. And you guys, there are just too many disorders to count or name. A life full of trial and tribulations, terrible mistakes you can't climb out of, even being gaslighted by your family to keep it quiet, and labeled the black sheep, or worse, becoming unwanted. You are no longer alone. The House of Phoenix is here to help you break through the confines of these walls and take you from your trauma to spirituality, where there is strength to move forward. Join our community. Together, we can bring about an awareness about incest that will create positive change. Because hand in hand we stand, and together we stand strong. Remember to help yourself so that you can help others help themselves. And it keeps going and going. Don't give up. You got this.
Hold strong all of the good that has brought you to where you are now. Do not be shaken by the hate. Keep the confidence of love that the universe and the Most High God has put inside of your soul to make you upright and fulfill your higher purpose that He has for you on this earth. Put to deaf ears those who discourage you and make you feel lesser than your higher purpose. Take a moment to love yourself and be proud of who you are and what you are becoming. And respect the journey from where you started. Now, feel the warmth of the light in your path brightening as you discover the beautiful you inside. And as you shake off all of the destructive energy and people that put their foot on the back of your neck, it will hurt. You will be alone for a time. But that time is your rite of passage into the new you, living the existence and fulfilling the higher purpose that the Most High has for you on this earth. So don't you dare give up. And remember, it is not just your spirituality that can define your journey. It is your journey that can define your spirituality. You got this.